So we have the transverse and the sigmoid sinuses. We have cavernous, superior petrosal, inferior petrosal, sphenoparietal sinus, petrosquamous sinus, and middle meningeal sinuses. So these all sinuses, they are all coming under the group of the paired dural venous sinuses. Now, as I have already mentioned, the characteristics of dural venous sinus, they are lined by endothelium. No muscle coat is there. They are valveless. They collect blood from the brain meninges, the diplo, the internal ear, and the orbit. Then also the dural venous sinus help to absorb CSF through the help of the arachnoid granulation tissue, and they in turn also receive emissary veins to maintain equilibrium of the venous pressure within and outside the skull. Coming to the superior sagittal sinus. The superior sagittal sinus is actually beginning in the crista galli region, and it ends into the internal occipital protuberance or the confluence of sinus, also called torcula of Herophili. And inside superior venous sinus, sagittal sinus, we will have the three venous lacunae. It has also several tributaries like superior cerebral vein, diploic vein, and emissary vein through the lacunae, and it communicates with veins of the scalp, veins from the nose, and also with the cavernous sinuses through the help of different emissary veins. And if you cut into the interior and see the interior of the superior sagittal sinus, then what you will find? You will find that the opening of the superior cerebral veins, superior sagittal sinus contains openings of about 8 to 12 superior cerebral veins, and there are also some projecting arachnoid granulations. Arachnoid granulations are actually small meningeal process formated. These are formations which are arising from the arachnoid matter, and they are helping to absorb the CSF. And within the superior sagittal sinus, we will also have many fibrous bands. So this is one section of the superior sagittal sinus, which you can see superior sagittal sinus. Here is the diagram of one emissary vein. These are the diploic veins. This is the diplo. This is outer table of skull, inner table of the skull lined by the endosteal layer of the dura mater. Yellow color is the dura mater, and this one is actually the arachnoid matter, which is projecting as small projections of the arachnoid granulations. And this is the one large arachnoid granulation that you can see. These are actually the superior cerebral veins which are entering into the superior sagittal sinus, which we are having. The importance is that when it can get infected, when there is infection from the region, as I have already said, that it is communicating with veins of the scalp, it is communicating with the veins of the nose, and also with the diploic tissue. So if any infection arises from the nose, scalp, and the diploic tissue, then it may cause the superior sagittal sinus thrombosis. Next, you have to see that this is what is known as torcula of Herophili. Often you can be given to write short note or some small questions regarding this torcula of Herophili. So it is a confluence of the sinus, and it is nothing but dilated posterior end of the superior sagittal sinus. Torcula of Herophili is actually lodged in a depression in the right side of the internal occipital protuberance, and from the torcula of the Herophili is arising, this is the confluence of the sinuses, the torcula of the Herophili, where it is lodged in the internal occipital protuberance. From it arises the two transverse sinuses. Right transverse sinus is actually beginning from it. Sometimes it deviates to the left, or it bifurcates to terminate in both the transverse sinuses. Coming to the inferior sagittal sinus, it occupies actually the lower margin of the falx cerebri. This is the falx cerebri, which you can see. This is the falx cerebri, and its upper margin, it has the superior sagittal sinus. In the lower margin, it has the inferior sagittal sinus, and then it runs backwards and joins the great cerebral vein at the free margin of the tentorium cerebelli, where it will form the straight sinus. So the straight sinus will be formed actually in the region of the occipital bone, and inferior sagittal sinus will go to join the great cerebral vein of Galen, and it will form the straight sinus. Come to the straight sinus. So where is the straight sinus situated? As we can see, this one is the position of the straight sinus, this. So this is the position of the straight sinus, and here in the base of the skull, what we can see in details, that it is actually the straight sinus is situated within the junction of the falx cerebri and the tentorium cerebelli. It is situated within the junction of the falx cerebri ফাল্ক সেরিব্রাইটা এখানে রিমুভ করা হয়েছে, সেই জন্য দেখতে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না। আর এখানে যেটা আমরা দেখছি দ্যাট ইজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি দ্য টেন্টোরিয়াম সেরিবেলাই। সো ইট বিগিনস অ্যাজ আ কন্টিনিউয়েশন অফ ইনফিরিয়র স্যাজিটাল সাইনাস। স্ট্রেট সাইনাস হচ্ছে আবার ইনফিরিয়র স্যাজিটাল সাইনাসের কন্টিনিউয়েশন হয়ে শুরু হচ্ছে, অ্যান্ড ইট ইজ পাসিং ব্যাকওয়ার্ড অ্যান্ড ডাউনওয়ার্ড, অ্যান্ড ইট ইজ এন্ডিং ইন্টু দ্য লেফট ট্রান্সভার্স সাইনাস। তাহলে রাইট ট্রান্সভার্স সাইনাস হচ্ছে কন্টিনিউয়েশন ফ্রম দ্য টর্কুলা অফ হিরোফিলি, অ্যান্ড দ্য স্ট্রেট সাইনাস যেটা সেটা হচ্ছে গিয়ে এন্ড করছে ইন্টু দ্য লেফট ট্রান্সভার্স সাইনাস। What are the tributaries of the straight sinus? So straight sinus again has some tributary: inferior sagittal sinus, few superior cerebellar vein, great cerebral vein of Galen, which is formed by the union of the internal cerebral vein, and the termination of this vein into the straight sinus is guarded by a ball valve like mass of the arachnoid granulation to regulate the CSF formation by the lateral and the third ventricles. So what we can see here, we are seeing here, this is actually over the brain we are seeing the venous circulations, right? This is the cerebral hemisphere, this is cerebellum. Cerebellum one side has been cut, and we can see here when the veins, this one is the great cerebral vein of the Galen, and this is the straight sinus. It is just on the under surface of the occipital lobe of the cerebrum, and here you are finding that this is the superior sagittal sinus with the superior cerebral veins which are its tributaries. Then you can see this is the inferior sagittal sinus. Then we are having that this is the great cerebral vein, we are having internal occipital vein, we are having straight sinus. Transverse sinus has been cut slightly, this is occipital sinus below, and this is the basilar vein, and this is the internal cerebral vein of the Galen, and these are the anterior cerebral vein. Next we come to the occipital sinus. It is the smallest of all the intracranial dural venous sinuses, and it begins as the small radicle near foramen magnum. Near the margin of the foramen magnum it begins, and it transmits into the confluence of the sinus. It lies along posterior margin of the falx cerebri. So here see, this is the occipital sinus. You can see this one is the, yes, so this is the half section of the brain which we are seeing here, and this is the cerebellum, and here is the confluence of the sinuses. This is one transverse sinus actually which we can see. This one is the occipital sinus, and it is actually the when finally these all sinuses will go to drain into the internal jugular vein. Let us come again to the transverse sinus now. The transverse sinus, it is actually two in number, as I have already told you. It are the paired sinuses. The transverse sinus, right sinus, is usually the continuation of the superior sagittal sinus, right transverse sinus, and the left one, it is the continuation of the straight sinus. The reverse of arrangement also may sometimes happen. And from torcula of Herophili which is actually formed by the meeting of the superior sagittal, the straight sinus, and the two transverse sinuses along the transverse sulcus, attached margin of the tentorium cerebelli, it will be found. So we will find the transverse sinus location in the internal surface of the occipital bone, and it is terminating the ends by becoming into the sigmoid sinus. Transverse sinus will finally terminate by becoming the sigmoid sinus. So let me show you the course. This is the transverse sinus of one side, and this is the transverse sinus of another side. If we can see, it is the right transverse, and this is the left transverse, and here this is tentorium cerebelli. This one is the tentorium cerebelli. One part of tentorium cerebelli has been cut open and removed here. See the tentorium cerebelli cut open to remove here, and we can see what? We can see the transverse sinus being continued as the sigmoid sinus, right? And this is the region actually for the diaphragmus celli and the sella turcica of the pituitary gland, and on either side of it we can see also the large venous formation that is known as the cavernous sinus, in which we will have some detailed discussion. And this is the superior petrosal sinus. Actually this one is the superior petrosal sinus, yes, along the superior border of this petrous part of this temporal bone. Next we will discuss the sigmoid sinus. Its sigmoid sinus is actually, this is the sigmoid sinus. It is beginning as a continuation of the transverse sinus and it is lodged in the sigmoid sulcus. It leaves the skull through the jugular foramen, the sigmoid sinus, and then after being continuous with the superior bulb of the internal jugular, this is the superior bulb of the internal jugular vein, and in this process it is also joined by this one, that is the inferior petrosal sinus. Thrombosis of sigmoid sinus may take place from the infected middle ear or mastoid antrum, and it may spread to the superior sagittal sinus. Impaired CSF drainage or the hydrocephalus may occur as a result of sigmoid sinus thrombosis.